Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Desiree, and for today's video I am doing a scary story time. Usually I do a story time around this time of year for the month of October. I usually release a couple of my stories of things that have happened to me, but I especially like to tell my scary stories around this time of the month. So I'm going to get into the story, and I'm also going to give my usual warning. The only reason why I'm talking about this is because it's happened to me. If it had happened to anybody else, I would not be talking about this. But because this has happened to me, this is my experience, this is my truth, I am telling this story. So for today's scary story time, I'm going to tell you the story about the time the girl in the white dress came out from under my bed. So this story takes place when I was 16 years old. I was, I believe, a sophomore in high school, and this was early in the morning. So my alarm goes off around 6:30 in the morning. That's my usual time that I used to get up for high school. And I remember I was just laying in bed, my alarm went off, and I hit the snooze button. And I was laying down, and all of a sudden I started to see my cover rising over my head. I used to have this really big white blanket, and it was one of those fluffy blankets that are meant to, I think it's called a comforter, if that makes more sense. It was a comforter that I used to have on my bed that I would sleep with, and that was the cover that I saw rising from the feet of my bed all the way up, and it went past my head. And all of a sudden I couldn't move. All I could do was move my eyes. So I was stiff. And I remember that I felt something at the feet of my bed. And I was able to look. I mean, even though I was like stiff like this, I was able to look down with my eyes. And I could see that this girl comes out from the edge of my bed. And she's crawling towards me. And this girl, oh my God, just getting shivers thinking about it. This girl looked hideous. She had really long black hair, and it covered part of her face. If I could explain more or less how she looked a lot like that girl from the movie The Ring. She looked a lot like that. And she had a white dress on too. And she's crawling from the edge of my bed towards me. And I'm thinking in my head, what the hell is going on? And I'm scared. I'm seriously just laying there scared, and I'm trying my hardest to move, and I can't move. Next thing you know, she grabs both arms with each of her hands. So she's like this. She's grasped both of my arms with each of my hands. And she starts doing this. She has my arms, but she's doing this. She's rocking back and forth, and she's saying, I can't even hear what she's saying, and I'm trying to speak, and I'm trying to tell her, what does she want? Why is she here? What is happening? And I'm trying to say this to her, but my mouth can't move. I'm just like super scared laying there while she's doing this. And I'm fighting really hard, and I'm doing this, and I'm trying my hardest, and I'm struggling, and I'm struggling, and I'm struggling. And I can't seem to get loose. Next thing you know, as she's doing this, she just stops. And one of her eyes opens up, and she's peering right at me. And I'm looking her in the face, and she's looking me right back. And this girl's eyes were jet black. She had no whites to her eyes. They were just jet black. And she was just staring at me, and she had this look on her face like she hated me, like she absolutely hated me. And then I tried again to move, and I'm doing this, and I'm trying my best to move, but I can't seem to get a grip, from my own body. Finally, I managed to cuss at her, and I can't say what the cuss word was, but I cussed at her. And then that's when all of a sudden, within an instant, like that, she just disappeared, and then my arms just flew up and hit the top of the cover. I immediately threw the cover off. I jumped out of bed, and I remember just standing next to my bed, and I'm pacing back and forth, and I'm super scared, and I'm thinking, what the hell just happened? Like, what the hell just happened? And then next thing you know, my alarm clock went off because I hit the snooze button. And I remember just thinking to myself, was that real? So I remember that I immediately grabbed my little sister, who was sleeping in the bed with me, mind you. She was in the bed with me. And while all this happened, she was peacefully sleeping. And I couldn't think of why she didn't hear me or why she couldn't feel that I was struggling. But I immediately picked her up, and I'm thinking, like, should I run out of the room? And then I'm still pacing with her in my arms back and forth, and I'm super scared, and I'm just thinking to myself, like, I can't believe this is real or not. So I put her back on the bed, and I start getting ready for school, like as if nothing had happened. But I couldn't think. I couldn't think straight all day at school. All day, all I kept thinking about was this girl's hideous, ugly face looking at me with hatred in her eyes, and I couldn't focus all day. So it didn't. It took me a while to get over it. That night, I had a hard time falling asleep because I kept thinking, was this going to happen again? Was I going to experience something like this again? Was she going to show up again? And it actually took me a really, really long time to finally get over something like that and, try to be normal. And it really felt really real to me. For a long time, I told myself, I think I was just dreaming. There's no way that was real. But it really felt real. I could feel her cold hands on my arms. I could feel the hatred coming from her. And thinking about it now, that white cover that I had on my bed, I remember I had kicked it off to the floor. So I wasn't even sleeping with that cover. I was sleeping with another cover. So that cover rose from the end of my bed, and it rose to the top in front of me. And even when I snapped out of it, my arms flew up. I felt my arms fly up, and I hit the cover. And that's when I was able to throw it off. So a lot of the times I continue to pace back and forth, and I think a lot, and I'm wondering if that really did happen or not. Because if it was a dream, it felt like a really real dream. And if it was real, I don't know why that happened to me. But all my life, strange things have happened to me. So this is really not out of the ordinary. It's just that this was just one of the many things that I went through growing up. I've seen a lot of crazy things growing up, a lot of things unexplainable. I even read online somewhere that I believe it's called paralysis. There's a medical term for it, but basically what it is it's a type of sleeping disorder where your body becomes paralyzed and you think something is attacking you. And I thought maybe that happened to me. The only problem is that it's only happened to me one time out of all of these years. And it's never happened again, thank God, because that would be super scary. But to this very day, I don't think about hitting that snooze button, because to this very day I think to myself, if I hit that snooze button, it's like a trigger. I think that something like that would happen to me again. So that's the end of the story. I thought I'd share it. It's pretty scary. It's short, but it's pretty scary, and it truly did happen to me. So thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and I will be releasing more scary stories, a little bit longer than this. I just thought I'd share this one because this is my shortest one. So, and be tuned. I also have some Halloween tutorials coming out. So thanks so much for watching. Bye.